Yes, Laz. So one of the biggest revelations that we have when we go through coaching, or even just through life and through personal development, through experience in life, particularly as we start to get older and we start to have time to observe our patterns and see that we keep doing certain things, or we keep talking about ourselves a certain way, we keep attracting the same people, the same situations. What we start to realize is that all of these things are a result of the person that we are, because all we're doing is we're a reflection of who we are, right? So if we've had an upbringing that had a bit of chaos to it, there's a chance that our life later on will have an element of chaos in it as well, because it will be familiar and it will actually feel safer than the alternative. Examples like for me, sort of 10, 12 years ago, I was on that merry-go-round, last man standing in the pub, buying things to prove myself to people, my worth to people, seeking validation and acceptance. And this could be because there wasn't enough of that for me growing up. Not necessarily with my parents, it could have been the friends group that I might have grew up with, or it could be anything, right? But these programs are designed to keep us safe and help us survive at that time. I hear a lot of stories of kids growing up who did whatever they had to do, kept quiet or whatever at home to try and keep the peace and stay out the way. And that manifests itself in their life later on, which is quite sad. But once we get the awareness there, and once we understand that what's going on, we can upgrade and interchange these situations, these beliefs, these programs. And so the first step in that is, and again, I've been through all of this, is awareness, starting to understand some of the patterns that we have. And some of them can be quite convincing and quite subtle. A lot of people will actually, for example, even reject success. They will reject obvious opportunities that will progress them forward. Like being invited for a certain interview, or being invited onto a podcast or something like that, which will sort of push their personal brand or their career or whatever it is forward. But they work out a good way of getting out of it, a good excuse for not doing it, because ultimately that doesn't feel safe to them. Even if it was on their vision board, or even if it's something they really want, it's because they have it's almost like you have a ceiling internally that you have to work on first to allow yourself to step into them things and to know that they are safe. This all starts with understanding that most of these things are kind of rooted in fear. There's a reason. There's some sort of a negative emotion that might come out of you progressing into these situations. But once we understand that, what is fear, right? Fear is nothing these days. It's not like we're being chased by lions or bears or anything like that anymore. That's not the world that we live in now. What's the worst that could happen? A comment or an email or a certain conversation that might happen? Even I've seen people who have gone through things that have been what you might call public embarrassment or whatever, but then the way in which they've handled it and the way in which they've shown up afterwards has actually inspired other people. Their mess became their mission in some instances. So it's about stepping into new things. We can start small with these sorts of things, but it's bringing awareness to them things when they happen, understanding them patterns as they come up, and then also understanding what is actually an opportunity when you see one, and having the sort of mindfulness and having the ability to respond differently in that moment, knowing that it's going to put you into new territory, into a new environment or new situation that perhaps you haven't been in before. But for us to get different results in life, we have to do different things. And if we're feeling stagnant if we're even complaining about the life that we have and we've said that we want other things, well, this is just, I guess, the universe offering that to you. It's just your responsibility to step in. And these can be small things initially, but one door leads to another, and before you know it, you can really change the direction and trajectory of your life, and it will start to feel safe again. You know, the key here is that we're building proof of an alternative world to what you're used to. So once we start to see that proof and that evidence around us, then we can start feeling safe with it, and then that will solidify, and then it's rinse and repeat. But these are some of the lessons that I've learned over the last decade or so of being coached and being a part of coaching communities, but then also being coached one-on-one, which can be quite confronting. It can be revealing. But even if you think you've had a normal upbringing, you'll be surprised. And this isn't necessarily trauma, okay? It's just programming. And it can be the difference between you taking your dreams to your grave, really, because it can be the most debilitating thing for people, is just feeling fear or feeling scared to not follow through with things because they don't feel safe with the potential outcome. And remember, the future's a concept, it's not even real. And the more and more the better we get at being mindful and being able to be in the moment, whether that's sitting with a decision or sitting with the outcome of a decision, the better we get at creating our lives. So I just wanted to chuck that out there. Hope it helps someone, and I'll see you guys soon.